Welcome to Politics on the Wheel with Jay, and this is LA TV. The presidential candidate of Labour Party, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, and the former governor of Anambra State, who contested keenly in the 2023 presidential election alongside Atiku Abubakar, and the eventual declare winner, Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressive Congress. You know, the election came to an end in February, of which a winner was declared on the 4th of March. And after that, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, as we all know, went to the tribunal. The tribunal upheld upheld Tinubu as the winner of the election, and as well as the Supreme Court. And ever since then, there have been a lot of campaign or agitation or calling for a national protest in order to reclaim the mandate that was stolen by the All Progressive Congress. His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, frowned at any form of protest and decided to go for a legal means of retrieving his mandate and that of Nigerians' mandate. And as a result of that was the reason why he approached the tribunal, even down to the Supreme Court. Now, yesterday, being 6th of November 2023, 2 months exactly after the tribunal had had judgment, and literally 10 days after the Supreme Court upheld Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president of Nigeria, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi addressed the whole world yesterday, letting them know that the country has been thrown into a deep mess. We all knew that the presidential election was contested keenly, and with all the evidence before everyone and even the court, it is something that we all know that the election was nothing but the most fraudulent election conducted in the history of Nigeria or in Africa as a continent. Even though many people may argue that it's one of the best elections because it may favors them. But let's take a look at the things that His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi said in his press briefing yesterday.
They will deliver judgment on the 26th of October 2003 on our challenge of the ruling of the Presidential Election Petition Court. That judgment has since been delivered as scheduled. The leadership of Labour Party has already pronounced its position on the judgment. As someone who has previously benefited from the rulings of the Supreme Court on electoral matters, I have, after a period of deep and sober reflection, decided to personally and formally react to the recent judgments as most Nigerians have. Because we are confronted with very weighty issues of national interest, I will speak forthrightly. As a young student now at CKC Onitsha, we were taught values and admonished to always choose harder rights instead of easier wrong. Certain legal issues aside, the Supreme Court exhibited a disturbing aversion to public opinion, just as they abandoned its responsibility as court of law and policy. It is therefore with great dismay that I observe that the court's decision contradicts the overwhelming evidence of election rigging, false claim of technical glitch, substantial non-compliance to the rules set by INEC itself, as well as matters of perjury, identity theft, and forgery that has been brought to light in course of this election matter. These are hefty allegations that should not have been treated with levity. More apparent, the Supreme Court's judgment willfully condoned breaches of the Constitution relative to established qualifications and parameters for candidates in presidential elections. With this counter judgment, the Supreme Court has transferred a heavy moral burden from the courtroom to our national conscience. Our young democracy is ultimately the main victim and casualty of the courtroom drama. Without a preparation, this judgment amounts to a breach of confidence Nigerians have in our judiciary. To that extent, it is a show of unreasonable force against the very Nigerian people from whom the power of the Constitution drives. The Supreme Court's ruling may represent the state of the law in 2023, but not present demand for substantive justice.
When they talk about the confidence of the judicial system on Nigerians, saying that the Nigerians now lack the confidence that they had on the judicial system. Secondly, he talks about the position of the party and as a candidate going forward, as they will remain an opposition going forward with the issues that they campaign for in the 2023 general election, saying that they are going to hold on to those mandates and their manifesto and meet up with Nigerians at their place of work, home, bottle parks, and wherever. Now, let me allow you to watch a little clip of this speech by His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. When I come back, we will talk about these issues that I just mentioned, those two issues that I just mentioned.
The Supreme Court is the end stage of our quest for legal closure on this matter. As a party and candidate, Daddy and I have now exhausted all legal and constitutional remedies available to us. However, this end is only another beginning of our quest for vindication of hope of the common man for a better Nigeria. After all, sovereignty belongs to the people, even for historical purposes. It belongs us to place our disagreement with and deep reservation about this judgment on public record. We have long been aware of how weak the national institutions have negatively affected our democracy. This year, 2023, has been quite remarkable and revealing. INEC displayed incompetence in the conduct of its statutory duties. The judiciary has largely acted in defiance of the constitutional tenets, precedents, and established ground rules. Political expediency has preceded judicial responsibility. A mechanical application of technicalities has preceded pursuit of justice and fairness. Both INEC and Supreme Court, as referees, respectively, shifted the goalposts in the middle of the game. Where the value and import of INEC and recent Supreme Court ruling ends is where our commitment to a new Nigeria begins. Our mission has been more about anchoring a new Nigeria, and it remains unchanged. It is a nation where things will work, where the country will be led from its present waste and consumption orientation to a production-driven economy. Our commitment is to a nation anchored on principles of prudent management of resources, to quickly pull millions out of multidimensional poverty, ensuring transparency and accountability in equitable distribution of opportunities, resources, privileges. In the new Nigeria, we aim to address unmet needs by showing compassion for all those left behind by the present system. Going forward, we in Labour Party and the Obedient Movement are now effectively in opposition. We are glad that the nation has heard us loud and clear. We shall not expand the confines of our message of hope to the rest of the country. We will meet the people in their places where they feel pain and answer the needs for hope. At marketplaces, motor parks, town halls, boardrooms, university and college campuses, we will carry and deliver the message of a new Nigeria. As stakeholders and elected Labour Party officials, we will remain loyal to our manifesto. We will continue to canvass good governance and focus on issues that promote national interest and unity and cohesion. We will continue to give primacy to our constitution, rule of law, and the protection of other liberties.
Before I talk about the two issues, I have a different opinion to how Mr. Peter Obi run his stuffs. Now, Peter Obi giving press briefing 10 days after the Supreme Court judgment. It may be that because of the peculiarity of his candidature, and probably because of the fact that he is from a particular region that is so hated in the country, or maybe because of the fact that, quote unquote, he has been seen as the righteous politician among all politicians in Nigeria. It is arguable that Mr. Peter Obi is the only politician in Nigeria that cannot be indicted or have not been indicted with any corrupt issue, money laundering, or any kind of thing. Most things that they have tried to link up with him cannot even be backed up with any tangible facts, of which all has been thrown away. I expected Mr. Peter Obi to give this speech yesterday. I expected him to give it before now, and his call for calmness is one that can only be seen in a democratic democratic minded leader, not the autocrats, not those that are so authoritative and don't even care for them, like those one in APC. So if you look at the behavior of the current administration and those that are leading in this APC dispensation, you will see that they go through violence. And that was how they came into power. Remember the Occupy Nigerian protests in 2014, of which after then they stepped into the government, and since then they have not allowed anybody to democratically exercise their civil rights, because they know that the only way to call on the government and hold the government accountable is when you go out to protest, in a civil and peaceful manner, and you refuse to bow out to any form of intimidation. The government is always scared of that, and that was the reason why they never allow anybody to gather, any form of gathering, because if it happens, it will go scot viral, it will cut across the whole country, and Nigerians will buy the idea and send them out, just the way they lied against Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and removed him from office in 2015. Let's look at what His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi talked about. Looking at the confidence in the judiciary, most Nigerians as of today no longer believe that justice can ever be met through the judicial system. Haven't seen justices retiring from the Supreme Court and from the bench or from the bar or whatever, and they are continually complaining and pointing accusing finger, saying that the judicial system has been polarized with a lot of forms of corruption that have reduced the integrity of our judicial system. Then, if those inside are saying that this place has been filled up with a lot of baggages and that is the reason why justice cannot be met, and a politicians come forth to say so, then what do you think of a common man? Many Nigerians believe that the laws that are being made are for the poor, not for the rich, not for the ruling class. It is obvious to the blind, as Patrick Bayangba once said, that is visible to the blind and is audible to the deaf, that in Nigeria, as you see today, is nothing but, as many quarters will have it, a banana republic. A country where in a democratic nation, or a country where people still have integrity, you will not see somebody who has been accused of forging a certificate, or a country where there is an evidence and it has been proved beyond reasonable doubt that somebody forged a certificate or did drug trafficking, and at the end of the day, the person cannot even resign And we saw a lot of kangaroo kind of judgment from the tribunal to the appeal court to the Supreme Court. We saw how the Supreme Court, brought Ahmed Lawal back to the Senate even when he never contested for the primary. We saw how Akpabio, who is the current Senate president, came in through the window, if I may say. Yes, because actually the Supreme Court brought him in. We saw also Opozadema of Imo State, of which the court, the same Supreme Court, has given a judgment in the past that the LPC has no candidate in the Imo election in 2019. But then they came back and upturned that decision and made Opozadema, who came distant third, the governor of the state. You see? And so let me not even talk much more from here, but we all knew what happened and the way at which our justice are being delivered, and many Nigerians can never trust that. Talking about the opposition, going forward, it is a known fact that Peter Obi has won the heart of people. If we are to defend democracy as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, Peter Obi has exhibits that definition by Abraham Lincoln of democracy as the government of the people, for the people, by the people. And for you to be a true Democrat, you might have been able to practice the norms of democracy as well as being able to win the heart of the people you intend to govern. Not intimidating them and forcing them to believe in your ideology and all of that. The dividends of democracy cannot be found in the current administration of the All Progressive Congress because of the manner at which, they go about doing their things, especially looking at the supplementary budget, which we have been talking about for the past 1 week. So it is a good thing that Peter Obi will be in that opposition and spread the message across Nigeria. And this is time that the obedient movement, the obedient family needed to sit tight, and those that want the future of Nigeria, which is the giant of Africa, to be restored, it is high time to hit the streets, preach the message, and let people know. This is not to discredit anything that the current administration is doing. Being an opposition does not mean that when the government is doing the right thing, you will still criticize. You can do better. Yes, you are doing well in this sector. You can do better. But then, if I will be you, I will do this, I will do that. If I were you, and that is the reason why you see the high criticism on the presidential yacht when you have a lot of things going on in Nigeria right now that needed more attention than having pleasure. Anyway, that is my thoughts this morning on the issues surrounding the press briefing by His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi yesterday. What do you make of all this? Do you think that in 2027, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi will give a shocker to the All Progressive Congress and PDP that are struggling to keep their homes together? Let's leave this at the comment section. Please try to be civil, and as well as know that politicians don't really care about you but their personal interest. So whenever you are giving your thoughts, make sure that you remember that and give it, in a civil way. Thank you for watching, and I remain Jay.